right, so may I kindly ask you to take your seats, and I'm already wishing you good morning, and they say dzień dobry in Polish, is that correct?
Yeah, this is correct.
All right, so dzień dobry everybody. Welcome to the third version of European Gaming Congress. This conference was planned for 2020 in Athens, so it got pushed way back to 2023. We're happy to be here in Warsaw. It's a beautiful city. We've been here many times, and we have lots of people asking us, why don't we do a conference in Warsaw? So here we are. Many people will start arriving because we had a wild welcome drinks yesterday. So before we dive into the first panel, I would like to invite you all for tonight's wild party, which is a Halloween party. So you better wear a costume, otherwise you're paying for the drinks. By the way, the drinks and the food is on us, so come by, bring your friends, but bring a costume as well. So I will not take further time away from this first session because we have plenty of content for today. So Marek, Plota is the moderator for the first session, and he needs no introduction in Poland, I guess.
Hello everyone. First of all, thank you so much for being here so early. This is a profound moment for us, since this is the first time Warsaw, Poland hosts any of Hitler events, and to date, in order to discuss or hear about Poland, we had to travel to such an exotic and strange places like Prague or Budapest. So here we are in Warsaw, and we'll have a chance to discuss the comprehensive landscape of Polish iGaming market. I'd like to invite my co-panelists, if you may. So we have great iGaming experts on the ground, lawyers and business practitioners. Maybe we will start with a quick introduction of each expert, starting from Eva, if I may.
Is it working? Yeah.
It's working when it's red.
Okay, it's working. Hi, hello, good morning, dzień dobry. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for this invitation. My name is Eva Lejman. I'm heading of the Polish desk for the WH Partners from Malta. I'm also the shareholder of the Polish legal office Żylicka and Partners. I'm not only the attorney at law, but also the tax advisor. My main specialization is gaming and gambling, and also the corporate law. And I will have a great pleasure to have an opportunity to add some comments to the discussion today. So, thank you very much.
Hello guys, good morning. My name is Aneta, Tylicka. I'm CEO of Fuksiarz. Fuksiarz means lucky bastard, and it's a Polish legal sports book. I have over 10 years of iGaming experience gained in Malta and Denmark. Then after that time abroad, I came back to homeland to develop Polish sports book, and yet we're live 2.5 years.
Good morning, hi all. My name is Lukasz Seweryniak. I'm CEO of Superbet Poland. I'm in this industry, sport betting industry, for 20 years. Last 3 years in Superbet, working with retail and online business, and my focus is operation and marketing.
Hi guys, Lamentowicz. VP of International Markets at Superbet. I've worked with this guy for like 15 years. Lots of years in gaming. I'm also running as a CEO of the Polish Gaming Chamber. For the last 5 years we have established this body. So happy to be here and to share some insights with you.
Hello, good morning. Piotr, Dynowski, partner in intellectual property, media, technology and communications practice. And I'm happy to be here with great colleagues on the panel to share with you some viewpoints and discussion points on the Polish gaming regimes.
Thank you, guys. So maybe since we are in Poland for the first time, let's describe a little bit and provide our guests with basic information on the market, like value of the market, size of the market, and maybe some prospects of the market. So, Adam, will you do it?
Yeah, so very briefly, I think most of you follow the market insights, but some key facts for you to understand better the landscape. So the whole online industry, because probably majority of you here are focused on that, is worth of around 15 billion euro in the legal domain. However, only sport betting is deregulated in Poland right this moment. So majority of verticals, including casino, of course, is monopolized. Sport betting has been growing. In 2017, there was a very big change in law, which gave a little bit of spike in market growth. But overall, we are looking at around 550 million euro GGR in sport gaming, sport betting in Poland around this time. Interesting fact is that we have around 1.5 million active customers per hour information within the legal domain, around 1.2 million in black. So still lots of opportunity out there for the market to grow and move towards the legal side of things. Casino obviously is growing because when you're a monopoly, it grows very, very fast. But black market in casino gaming is still estimated at over 60%. In terms of sport book, we are looking of around black market in the area between 20 to 30% GGR in terms of GGR. In terms of stakes, roughly 40 to 50% is still in black. Why I'm mentioning it? It shows the opportunity for this market. There's still space to grow. There's still space to see some big improvements. We have 17 sport betting operators, so highly fragmented business landscape in terms of in the deregulated part. Highly competitive because the legal regime is not very clear, so it has some challenges, but we'll cover that within the panel. The first 2 quarters of this year, because we have data from Ministry of Finance, started to show a little bit of concerning trend. So first quarter this year versus Q4 last year, -7%. Obviously, Q4 we had World Cup, so some people might say, it was World Cup spike. But then Q2 versus Q1, another 10% less. So there is already a trend that I think we have reached the absolute ceiling in terms of the market growth if we don't see any serious changes within the regulatory landscape. But looking at the glass half full, I think there's light in the tunnel. So happy to be here and to share some insights on that. So just a few things to remember. Unfortunately, only Sportbook still as the only deregulated vertical. Monopolized casino, monopolized slots on the streets. So this is definitely something to look for. Second thing, no games on demand. So stuff like crash games still out of scope. And very, very high taxation. So we still are challenged daily with 12% tax on stakes, which obviously transformed itself to around 60% GGR tax. This is just overall market in few figures. We have seen growth since 2016 on a regular basis, but now this growth has stopped. I think we'll see some changes and hope for you to be part of that. Thanks.
Okay, you covered all my items regarding business area. Thankfully, we have lawyers here, so so maybe let's look at the regulatory part of the industry, of the market. Eva, can you tell us a little bit more about the licensing process? Is it seamless? Is it complicated? Is it possible to get it in the market?
For sure, the Polish market is not an easy one for the foreign operators. Like we already just mentioned, when we look into the products which are available for foreign operators online, you only have a sportsbook, the online betting. So you may only apply for the license to operate on the Polish market regarding the betting. All other products are covered by the, in spite of the one which is a type of lottery which is not relevant from your business perspective. Anyway, so you may enter the Polish market only with the one product, like I said, it's betting. This is the why we, in our panel, all of our, instead of lawyers, operators are focused on the online betting, because like you know, this is the only one product. Is it difficult to enter the Polish market? I would say that yes or no, and no altogether, because there are some advantages and some disadvantages. I think that we'll maybe discuss the pluses and minuses in the end. But then the procedure depends very much on not only on your team, on the lawyers' team as well, how much they are prepared, how much they are experienced regarding the process. Of course, it also depends on how much time you will use. You need to prepare all documents needed for the process of applying for the betting license. From my experience, it shouldn't be. It depends on the time, how fast the Ministry of Finance will issue the decision regarding the license. It should be not more than 6 months, but it's a technical deadline. So when you receive some additional questions from the Ministry of Finance, which very often happens, this deadline is just treated as you know, not that it for sure may be a longer time to once you will file the application to the moment you will receive the decision of the Ministry of Finance. So it's not an easy process, but like we mentioned, we have I think that around 20 operators on the Polish market. So for the 38 million nation of people of Poland, I think it's still, like we just said, a place for the new operators to come to Poland. The gray zone is still, I would say, it's a piece of the market still in Poland, mainly because even though the domains of the illegal operators are blacklisted in Poland, because you have to know, or you know already, that we have a system of blacklisting of domains of the illegal operators in Poland. So it very often works with the gray zone like that, that once the, for instance, domain Casino 1 is blacklisted, in the same time, with not big amount of time, for instance, Casino 2 is created. So this is like a chase between the Polish authorities and the operators from the gray zone. And what's interesting when we are talking about blacklisting and the register, since I think last year, the Ministry of Finance delegated some of its responsibilities to the to some authority which is located in Opole, which is a customs office, and all of the issues and cases now connected with the register are now covered by this customs authority in Opole. So it's supposed to take less time for this authority to blacklist the operators, the domains of the operators from the gray zone. So what else?
Maybe how much it costs? Is it an expensive procedure to get the license?
I do not have the figures in front of myself, but it's quite costly. As far as I remember, the minimum capital of the Polish limited liability for Polish company because you have a choice. You either may open a new company in Poland, where in that case the company will of course operate the Polish market, and the minimum share capital is, as far as I remember, 2 million zlotys. Either the other option, you may operate through the how to say it, a proxy in Poland. In that case, you do not open a new company in Poland, but you have to enter into agreement. I'm talking, of course, about the company who is not the Polish operator. So for the foreign operator, there is an option to enter into agreement with a company in Poland who may work as a proxy. I know that you, Marek, has a good experience, as far as I know, for being a proxy in that cases as well. So that's the second option. And I do not, unfortunately, have in front of myself the figures. Maybe Piotr,
I have the figures,
have.
so I can jump in with the figures.
Looking for your figures then.
So please, Piotr, help me. How much? I mean,
Okay, so yes. So as I've already said, the minimum share capital requirement in Poland is 2 million zlotys, which would be around 440,000 euros, and then the fee at the moment for 2023 for an online betting license for one website, one URL would be about 130,000 euros. But on top of that, you also have to pay a guarantee, which would be now about 107,000 euros. And of course, the fee for the license is fluctuating over the years because it's based on so-called base amount, which is the average salary in national economy for the second quarter of the year preceding the year for which the fee is due. So of course, those salaries are fluctuating as the economy is fluctuating, so there are some changes year to year, maybe not massive, but there are some differences. In the recent years, rather increases, because the average salaries in the national economy of Poland are increasing, but it's not like, I don't know, 30% more year to year, it's a couple of thousands year to year, so it's not very cheap. Probably not the most expensive, as far as I know. There are countries where it is more expensive, but again, if you look into it in this broader context that Adam already kind of outlined, so if you look at the taxation, which for sports betting is 12% turnover, and yeah, the general costs and quite restrictive regulations on advertising and promotion, even for sports betting, where basically you can only conduct activities online in your bookmaking points if you have brick and mortar bookmaking shops, and sponsorships are in fact the key field where the betting operators are kind of promoting themselves. Also, it's also kind of a bit tricky because literally speaking, the information about sponsorship can be limited only to the name or trademark of the operator and information about sponsorships. So of course, as in other industries, there are also attempts to kind of push the boundaries a little bit here and there and try how much content you can put in your a sponsorship billboard on top of what the laws explicitly say in that regard. So if you look at all of that, it's pretty tough because the costs are, at least for the start, pretty high, and as we said, it's quite a competitive market with a lot of operators, and actually if you look at the structure of the shares of the market of those various 20 operators, the majority of them are like at 2% or 2.5% of the market. So basically you ask yourself a question, how you can make a business in this reality, because the costs are there the same whether you have 60% of the market or 2% of the market. So simply it's very difficult to make this business, which is actually why in the last 3 years we actually have seen a couple of operators going bust in Poland or being acquired by other operators because of being in a bad financial condition. So that happens as well. But overall the market is growing, but I also believe there is potential for further growth, but that also requires certain changes to the regulatory landscape, which will make it more attractive and easier for the license operators to grow.
Okay, so I'm here to give you some positive vibes as well. So I will pick some cherries from what my panelists said. The licensing process isn't long. It takes like 6 months, right? It's cheap because 100,000 zloty for a license fee is not an expensive thing. Obviously, like Piotr said, there are some additional fees which may be substantial, but for big operators are not. So we have a license, we are on the ground. Let's move to the business part of the industry. Aneta, you are running a relatively small Lucky Bastard company. What are challenges, but what are also opportunities? How you do it to compare yourself to try to be competitive to companies like Superbet who are sitting next to you?
So we don't compete with Superbet in France. That's why we're sitting together here. But now to put jokes aside, yes, we are a smaller business. We are not a business with a huge budget like the others in our country. So from the very beginning, we focused on our own actions. Like there was no point in comparing because that wouldn't make any sense. So from the first days, we knew we have to focus on some kind of uniqueness in this crowded market, and by crowded I mean not only legal operators, but of course gray zone. So as a first thing, we were thinking what features to introduce, what's still not here, as we had a lot of background abroad, because most of us gained experience in Malta, UK, and other countries. So, for example, early payout, we were the first company that brought it to Poland. It's a great feature, saves a lot of coupons for players. Funnily enough, friends from Superbet introduced this as a second. Apart from early payout, we automated, for example, the cashback, so players would get a percentage of their stake, of their lost bet, and it happens automatically, they don't need to wait for it. And what's also worth mentioning is the fact that it's free of turnover, and this was also a new thing here. So yeah, always some kind of innovative ideas. Latest news is that we became, and that might be called a huge thing, at least for us it is, we became an official partner of La Liga in Poland, so thanks to that we can offer our players, of course, some merchandise from La Liga, tickets. They can watch games with Robert Lewandowski and other La Liga stars. And some of them, they can even go and visit their favorite stadium, so that's a thing. We're very proud of this collaboration. It's first of this kind in Poland, where a bookmaker partners up with one of the top leagues in Europe or in the world. So yeah, first finding small, unique niches that we can accommodate, And then second thing won't sound so amazing, it's just mathematics. Yeah. So if you want to run a sustainable business in this quite difficult market, you need to do calculations if you want ROI. So yes, calculations, we run tests, we reflect on the results of these tests, and we go in when the results are satisfying, not before.
Yeah, so smart marketing instead of expensive one. Yeah, so saying about the expensive one, Lukasz, what about Superbet and your marketing strategy? Is it only money spending or you're doing some interesting things?
Not only. I would start because no matter if you are big or small, there are some common elements. And I think for both of us, it is important to find the way for the retention. Because if you don't have a retention and you don't know how to retain your customer, then it doesn't matter actually what acquisition you will run. So I think we both are trying to do that, and it is important because there are many specifics for the Polish market. If we talk about the retention, first of all, this is a product, and if we talk about the online market, it's dominated by apps. So you have to have iOS and Android app stable. This is like 80% of the turnover, I would say, coming through the apps. Then you have to have, of course, sport coverage, not only top sports, but also the local sports. Important part is also the CRM activity, so how you communicate to your customers, the bonus policy. Actually, I would say we have kind of a war with the bonusing between the operators, and with the 12% taxation, it is really difficult, and you have to calculate how to make the ROI. So if you have, let's say, this base like product, CRM, and of course operation, for the operation, I think we are at a similar level like all global companies. So we have customer service 24/7, all the payments, fast withdrawals, so all the, let's say, product elements. But if you have this, let's say, then you have to think, let's say, about this top of the funnel, I would say, for the marketing. And here is, let's say, the difference, what we are doing and what Fuksiarz, for example, is doing. So we have much bigger budget. So we invest, let's say, in this top funnel to build our branding, and for this we can use the TV, 360 campaigns, but also the sponsoring. We know all that this is quite heavy cost, but if we go down, then we have, let's say, in the mid of the funnel, those, I would say, performance channel, and here affiliation for a Polish operator is, I would say, must have. Then, of course, we have the social pay, display, and if we go down, then there are, let's say, campaigns focus on welcome offer and all those tactics. So yes, if you have the ambition to be in the top 3, you have to have, let's say, the big budget and to think about all, I would say, channels.
But not only budget, right? Because from what I know, you have some smart ideas in innovative products within Superbet offer, and it's bet swipe or free-to-play platform. Is it an actual acquisition platform? I mean, this free-to-play super score, I guess, right? This is the channel that you acquire any clients from.
That was actually our USP when this Superbet was set up in Poland, like 3 years ago. We were looking for some kind of USP, and one of this was those free-to-play formats. We were the first one with those, let's say, formats. We have actually 2 formats. One is Super Spin. It's like a Wheel of Fortune, but this is a tool connected to our CRM tools, so we are using this to have better, let's say, segmentation. So I would say the free-to-play is very much helping us to build the retention, but also the engagement. In Superbet we have, let's say, the philosophy that we would like to have active customers not only betting, but spending time in our app. So they can, let's say, have a stream, they can have, let's say, fun with our free-to-play formats. But you asked about the innovative features, and I think it is very important on the Polish market, and very much welcome from our customers. So they are very open, and you said bet swipe. We have also the philosophy in Superbet to provide, let's say, the super social, so to build the society, let's say, around our app, and for this we have implemented quite a new feature. It is a bet swipe, so this is the way for fast accepting, placing a bet, so you can swipe left or right if you want to accept or reject your bet. So based on this, we see quite good adoption rate. The customers like those kind of innovative, so if you want to be successful, you also have to have some innovative tools.
Okay, thanks. Let's get back to the regulatory landscape for a moment. Piotr, from your perspective, what's the biggest challenge in terms of executing the legislation? I mean, is the Gambling Act a clear act, precise act, or do you have some practical problems with advising your clients in specific areas? Like, I will give an example as advertising, right?
Yes. So no, definitely Polish gambling regulation in many points is not very clear, which sometimes probably is an advantage because you can seek certain interpretations which suit you, and you still cannot exclude them under the regulation because it's not clear enough. But on the other hand, there are many instances when actually lack of clarity of the regulation causes problems and issues for the operators. Yeah, starting from regulation of advertising, which seems to be pretty detailed, listing a lot of kind of examples of forms of acts which are considered advertising or promotion of gambling under Polish regulation, which was actually copied from the earlier regulation of advertising and promotion from the alcoholic beverages and tobacco regulations, and which was of course aimed to be as broad as possible, also to exclude possibility of promoting entities which or services or products which in themselves would not be gambling related, but because of using the same names, brands, visual identity and so on could be abused to promote in fact gambling. But yes, there are, I mean, a lot of issues. I mean, starting even from the definitions of the verticals that are available in Poland, especially with all the newer products like fantasy games, pick'em games and so on, which is often very unclear how to qualify those under the Act. Then the definition of the games on machines is also done the way that you could actually put under this definition a lot of other types of games, which I think go beyond what the legislator had in mind when introducing this definition. Of course, there is this option, which I think Eva will discuss a little bit more in more detail, of applying for interpretation from the Ministry of Finance on whether the game is regulated or not regulated. But of course, you always have to ask yourself the question sometimes, because once you file the interpretation, you are immediately under the radar, so they know. So sometimes it's maybe better to stay in the shadow and not necessarily proactively seek that kind of interpretations. So so there is a lot of problems with lack of clarity, and one of the examples that we were discussing in our prep to this session was these blacklists and the criteria or mechanism for de-blacklisting when the domain which was once entered into the register no longer actually meets the criteria to be blacklisted. And it turns out that, I mean, rationally you would say if it no longer meets the criteria for blacklisting, it should be delisted. Yeah. But it turns out that in practice there is really no procedure for that. And even trying to do that through various kind of ways that would seem reasonable, it doesn't work. So you end up with a domain which no longer really is breaching the regulations, and still it stays in the register forever, which I think is also kind of a problem, especially for those operators who are, for example, publicly listed and traded, and they rather would want to avoid being listed in registers of that sort, especially when they no longer really do anything that would qualify them to be in there. So yes.
This lack of consequence of the regulator gives some positive effects as well, because being blacklisted doesn't mean that the operator, out of you guys who are blacklisted, doesn't mean you can't apply for a Polish license. The Polish regulator invites everyone, and there is no provision in the Gambling Act, like bad actor clause, that prevents you from applying. Think about the problems with advertising. I would like to ask Aneta a question. What advertising channels are you using in order to acquire clients? Is it social media only? Is it, outdoor advertising? What is it?
So it's a bit of everything. Of course, you will find us in TV, but we're not gonna be everywhere in TV. We choose the channels and we choose the games, of course, according to the rules of television. You won't see us outdoors, really, but you will find us in dedicated channels. You will see us in social media. You will see us in display as well. But you will see us much less, of course. So we focus on certain groups of customers. And it's definitely not the first brand that comes to your mind when you think about Polish sports books. However, we acquire our customer. I don't want to say we're picky, but we select our audience.
Piotr called you out with the kind of games that are allowed in Poland. Can you tell us a little bit more what verticals are allowed? You mentioned sports betting, but we have some sub-products that are allowed. And what if we are not sure what games are permitted?
Yeah, I wanted to say something positive as well,
yeah.
Because it looks like we lawyers are quite negative. That you may hear that we are a little bit negative about the regulation, but they are, like already Piotr mentioned, the lack of clarity could be a good, could be a positive or a chance for you. And what I wanted to add as a comment for you is that, for instance, I think that is Poland is a good market if one of your products are a skill game. Why? Because a skill game is not regulated by the Polish gambling law. So if your game is not a game of chance, you of course may enter the Polish market without thinking of all the requirements included in the gambling law. But what if you are not sure that your game is or is not a game of chance, or you are not sure whether your game is could be considered as a gambling in accordance with the Polish gambling regulation. So, because it's what I started that the Polish regulation is not clear, because here, regarding this particular issue, you also have the same, because the Polish regulation is not clear, here you also have a chance to enter Polish market with your products. And as Piotr mentioned, there is a procedure in Polish Gambling Act that if you are not sure if your product fell into the definition of the gambling in Polish gambling game, you may ask the Ministry of Finance for his opinion. Of course, I totally agree with Piotr that sometimes it's better to stay in the shadow. But how we do that with our clients is that first the client starts from the opinion from us. So if our opinion as lawyers is that definitely that may fall into definition of the gambling product, there is no sense to ask the Ministry of Finance, of course. But if we are quite positive and we see that the outcome of the decision of the Ministry of Finance should be positive, of course this is a business decision that it may be good to ask the Ministry of Finance. Some of my clients, they decided to ask the Ministry of Finance because they wanted to have the decision and to feel secure if they enter the Polish market. Nobody after, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 years then tell them that your product is actually some kind of gambling and it should be regulated. So what I wanted to say about this procedure, that you need to describe the game. You need to show the Ministry of Finance why you think that that particular game is not gambling. And in the end, what I wanted to say as a positive, that in one case, the quickest decision ever I received from the Ministry of Finance was after 2 weeks. So we were, there was a German client, he was so like, are we really having a decision after 2 weeks already? And it was luckily it was a positive decision for them. So even though the process of applying for the license in Poland, we mentioned that it may last long time. If, for instance, this particular process when applying for the decision regarding recognizing a particular product as a gambling or not, you may expect, if the motion is prepared well, I mean has all needed information, I may say that I'm with the confidence that in 1 month, or sometimes I had the experience even after 2 weeks, you may expect the decision. So this is a positive, I have to say. Yeah.
I believe it's not bad. Adam, I kept you quiet on purpose, because I want to move to the topic that you can speak about endlessly. So you're a CEO for a gaming chamber. Tell us, because I want to put it in the context of the election, but later on, first we would like to discuss and hear about the recent, maybe not development, but approaches of the chamber and efforts that the chamber made in order to convince or explain gambling stakeholders in Poland to make the change. What change do you expect to happen? What change makes a difference for the Polish market?
Yeah, we've been quite active the past couple of years, educating the regulator on different solutions, different options that are at the ministry discretion. I think something that did not come out of this panel yet is that basically the Gaming Act that we have in Poland today is dated back in 1992. With 3 different amendments that we saw in 2009, and then major amendment 2009, and then 2016, which came for 2017. So how outdated this act is versus today's digital reality is something that leaves a lot of room for work of local operators, interpretation, lawyers' work, and it's a maze. So one of the key things is which we are advocating and explaining to the regulatory body is the need to sit down and draft completely new gaming act. Because of course we can jump into hot topic of change only this, change only that, but then at best case we'll add a little bit of sauce to the spaghetti, which we already have as a gaming act. So one of the key things is let's sit down and work out a proper gaming act that would properly regulate this business going forward for next generations, rather than just juggling the hot potato. Other than that, we focus on benefits of GGR taxation for sportbook. Obviously, again, going back to 1932, the taxation on stakes was implemented because it was lottery-driven gaming act. So things have changed since. We all got younger, and the reality is completely different. So we are really have provided a lot of meat, I must say, in this room to the regulatory body. There was a lot of dialogue, and there is a lot of dialogue going on at the technical level and the central level. Good understanding on the benefits of GGR tax in terms of what it can bring mid-term and long-term to the gaming table as a whole. Still some discussion what it means short-term. So what does it mean in the immediate couple of months after implementation? So this is where there is a lot of discussion. Other things that we are definitely focused on is the gaming vertical. But gaming vertical, not simply, let's jump and deregulate casino. I think there was a very big push back against this for the past years. And 2017 implementation of monopoly was, theoretically on the premise of protecting customers. So we are advocating the size of the black market, and that actually the main premise of implementing Game Act in this form in 2017 has failed, because we have failed to protect 1.2 million customers which are actively in the black market every month. So based on this, we are definitely in discussions that there are various ways of deregulating gaming vertical. One thing is obviously changing the elements of demonopolizing it entirely, but this is highly controversial and there is a pushback against that. There is, however, an option of sub-licensing, which could still mean that that it falls under a monopolistic regime, but is partially deregulated and can be enforced through private operators under sub-license of state lottery. And there is the softest option, where there is modification of the definition of virtual games and allowance to games on demand, rendered on demand, like crash games. So amending of the virtual games definition, which today can focus only on images of sport and animal racing, amending this definition could again open a much wider spectrum of options. These are key in terms of making legal sport books a more competitive offering versus black market alternatives. There is a second element where we also suggest changing of taxation for state-owned monopolistic casino to even out the GGR that we are proposing. We are proposing GGR for sport books between 22 and 35, but basically focusing on 22 as the average GGR in the market. And we propose to even it out also for the remaining verticals, meaning slot machines on the Polish streets, and which are under control of the state monopoly, state lottery, and also for state-owned casino. Making this all even and would definitely drive the customers to the legal domain. So this is key. There are a few other things, slight modifications that and changes that could be foreseen in terms of defining better elements concerning what is promotion, what is advertising. There is still some space to improving definition. And while the lawyers say that there are benefits when it's not very precise, well, any breach of law in Polish Gaming Act is a criminal offense. So when I'm a CEO or my colleagues CEOs of the gaming businesses, I think we see definitely less benefit of imprecise legal clauses, because while the lawyers can say, you know, you can interpret this left or right, at the end of the day, it's criminal offense that will hit you between the eyes if you screw it up. So definitely important, very important element is creating a proper regulatory body within the country. Right now, it's at the gaming department with the Ministry of Finance, with whom we cooperate as a gaming chamber and as all operators, different stakeholders, because to be honest, within the chamber, we don't only have operators, but we have marketing agencies, lawyers, vendors, suppliers, so it's a much bigger community out there than only operators. So there is actually no regulatory body which would be expert in gaming in Poland. So we end up speaking to the gaming department, which is part of the same department which deals with VAT and other fiscal levies. Obviously, gaming is not their cup of tea, so educating them and explaining to them exactly what is game of chance, what are the mechanics behind, if there is randomness, element of randomness or not. This is, you know, waste of time, waste of energy, waste of money. Sorry, guys. I mean, but you know, for us as operators, it's costly. It's costly in terms of time. It's costly in terms of energy. And costly in terms of money. And at the end of the day, we lose business towards the black market, and we lose revenues to us, but also to the state. And at the end of the day, as I told you, nearly 1.5 million people regularly gambling illegally in online only. 40,000 illegal slot machines on Polish streets. This is definitely not the success story of the existing Gaming Act. So there is a lot of work, there is a lot of understanding today in the department, in the gaming department. And again, I'm neither a politician nor a regulator. So, but if I compare where we are today versus where we have been, I don't know, 10 years ago as a gaming community, I think we are in a much better place in terms of the regulator, the politicians, the members of parliament of various different parties, not one or two, but all basically space, understanding that there is need of immediate change.
Okay. I will stop you for a moment here. So, points in your agenda is separate regulatory body, verticals, Lukasz, and GGR. Lukasz, what GGR level are you looking for? The lowest one, obviously, but what would satisfy you anyway? Because you need to satisfy the state budget as well.
I think 30% is something we would like, and this is something realistic, but if you recalculate our current taxation, which is 12% on turnover, it is approximately 60% of our GGR. So, everything what will be a bit below this number, very much welcome.
Would be a great advantage. Does it mean that other smaller operators would have a chance to compete with the major ones? Does it mean that switching to GGR, even mid or high level, would make this market more competitive? What do you think about it, Aneta? Because you represent, sorry for saying that, but the smaller one.
That's okay.
At this point, I believe it will change very soon.
I'm very glad you added that. No, so first of all, I would like to say again, we don't want to compete. I believe there is space for everyone in this market.
But we need to survive, right?
Yeah, of course. We need fair competition. These days, it's unfair because it's with grey zone. To show, to compare with other jurisdictions, let's take example of Sweden, yes? Poland is, let's say, 40 million people, 30 million is internet users, 26 it's adult internet users. Sweden would have 7 million more or less of adult internet users. GDP per capita in Sweden is $55,000. Poland, a bit less than a half, 23,000, but we are 4 times more, yes, of adult internet users in Poland, so there is potential. Sweden has, I would say, 70, 80 regulated brands, while Poland has 20. We do have space, and it's not about competing between each other because there is no room for improvement, there is no clients. That's not the problem. The problem is gray zone here. So, of course, changing the taxation to GGR would help us all, would help smaller brands like Fuksiarz, would help big guys like Superbet. But it would finally be fair because it would migrate the players from offshore to onshore. So that's the main point here.
Yeah, this is what we are all looking for. So going back to Adam and election expectations, this is what everyone to know. Do we have any foresights for a change right now? What do you think about the new scheme on the politics scene?
First of all, I'll add something to what Aneta and Lukasz said. You know, when you have GGR taxation, a smaller operator definitely can survive, because today when we have very high payout, we also pay on top of it the tax, which is definitely for smaller operators which cannot balance this off with other markets, with markets where they potentially operate gaming, because the gaming vertical is allowed in other jurisdictions. It starts to be extremely difficult for those operators. And I think one of key things here is that the regulator and the country itself needs stable and fragmented markets, so that, you know, the market needs to, I mean, the regulator needs several eggs in its basket. It's no use of having 3, 4 big operators, because then the regulator becomes somehow a hostage to the situation. And I think this is also an argument that we are using very often, that it's actually in the best interest of the regulator for us to have more competitors, good competitors to compete and to work you know, in a healthy environment, but for the regulator as well to have different revenue streams in terms of taxation. Going back to your question, I think first of all the fact that we have a coalition government, that we're going to have a coalition government, but also several other parties in the parliament. This is a really good situation. Why? Because for the past years we had somehow monolithic situation, and it was challenging. Today it's not that you know the road will be rosy and everybody will be just welcoming us because we are in the gaming business. No. However, the Polish economy, even though, you know, everybody says that we are still a green island in the middle of the Pacific and everything is perfect, the truth is that there is a huge budget deficit, really enormously big. I think the new government that is going to be formed will find out how big only in a few months from now. Therefore, there will be absolute need for several changes, and not only in gaming sphere, but gaming sphere, which is in indirect taxation sphere, which is touching, as I said, VAT, levies, and gaming tax is part of that. Is part of indirect taxation, which is part of a very big pressure to generate more revenues to the budget. And obviously, from 12% tax on stakes and the rest being monopolized, there's not much. You cannot just simply increase, because, you know, we have this wave of increased taxation in many different European countries right now. But it's different to go up, you know, from 30 to 35 taxation like in Greece in terms of GGR, or it's different to go from 20 to 23 in a few other countries. I mean, it's going up from 12% on stakes would basically move the whole market to the black. So there is a full understanding of this process in majority of the parties that are today in the parliament, ruling and non-ruling, because this is very important, because when this starts to be a live topic, you know, how to bring extra 200 billion to the budget. This is not a joke anymore. You know, you cannot ignore billions of zloty which are being wasted today every year and sitting in the black, and therefore I'm you know, those of you that know me, I'm an optimist by definition. Probably that's why I'm still here in this Polish market. But the truth is that, as I said, such open dialogue as we have had in the past 5 years, I don't recall. I don't recall also the number of analyses that have been gathered officially by the regulatory body, coming from H2 Gambling, coming from EY, coming from different known names, and also several discussions with other regulatory bodies in other countries, which has taken place and which we have somehow taken part in. I think a lot of education has taken place. Now, I cannot tell you if it's going to form itself in a year or two from now. Definitely it's very important the next couple of months for this to be top of the agenda, to be part of the process of relatively fast reforms that need to happen for the revenues to the budget to be increased and for investment also to be triggered. Because out of all these 17 brands, still not so many foreign brands, not so many international brands, because of obviously tax regime.
Yeah, but money talks, and probably switching to GGR doesn't mean that state budget will increase its inflows as of tomorrow. What industry have to offer in exchange or to compensate the temporarily lower incomes for the budget, because it will happen. The GGR does not affect in an immediate increase, right?
That's why when we talk about the revenues to the budget, we are not talking about gaming taxation itself. And there is two things. One is a short-term you know, fluctuation. So if you change taxation day one, probably you're going to have a bit less of revenues. But if you look from the budgetary perspective and you look at it in 1, 2, 3 years, what's going to happen and what will happen to the migration of the customers from the black market to the regulated domain, this is where the number starts to look really, really good, because still around 50% of gaming customers' population is black. So there is you know, for the regulatory body that doesn't think tomorrow but thinks the day after tomorrow, there is no actually question what is the benefit. Secondly, we are also in discussions with sport associations, with football clubs, with different stakeholders of our industry, because after all, we are big sponsors as gaming community. We are big sponsors of sports. Part of our business goes also to sport associations, because we also pay for sports sport association fees. There's an additional element that we have to pay. So more competition, more foreign investment, and more inflow of proper operators to the market, and also stronger local, smaller operators means bigger sponsorship budget, bigger spend on promotion of legal gaming propositions. So there will be additional revenue from VAT. So that's why when we speak indirect taxation, that's why very often we package this when we talk to the regulatory bodies with VAT, because it's not only gaming tax revenues that we should look at. We should look at what it means if we change that, what it means in terms of VAT, other revenues, in terms of other parts of the, you know, business that we will affect because of this. So stronger local operators mean bigger investment in sports, bigger revenues from VAT, and actually even in gaming revenues, gaming taxation revenues will increase. There is a quite recent analysis from X2Gambling which indicates that implementation of GGR tax on sport betting, which will actually increase revenues to the budget. As I said, not day after implementation of the law, but a couple months later, I'm very confident. And why? Because the products, we have touched a little bit this, but the product proposition of Polish bookies is very competitive. If you look at our, let's say, gray market colleagues' proposition, I mean, if you are a customer and you will not be forced to the black market because of the high tax, there's no way anyone would use those services, because here you have free-to-play, very nice native apps by majority of the operators, small and big, really great job done. Lots of investment has been done into the product and the offering. Local knowledge in terms of local expertise of the operators and the teams on the ground is very strong, and therefore, you know, in terms of trading generosity, in terms of trading operational expertise, what is offered, I feel that the grey market cannot really compete with us, with the difference that they can compete with us on price, obviously, because of the taxation. So if we remove that, I'm confident that no one will actually, of course, with few high stakers that will be eliminated by responsible gaming rules, but the rest of normal good quality customers will migrate. So I'm pretty confident to stand by those requests, and have been advocating this for the past years. I feel the future is bright.
The future is bright. This is what I wanted to hear. So we have 5 minutes more. Maybe anyone from the audience have any questions for our experts? Here you go. Do you need a mic, or will you scream?
Hello everyone, this is Marcin. Nice to see you all in Warsaw. I have a question about this taxation and changing, potentially upcoming changes after the elections. To you, Adam, we've known each other for years, but we never had the chance to discuss it, and so please allow me to ask you here. What is the chances and how actually this happened that the Minister of Finance has taken over the huge part of this of the process, and is there any chances to have something similar to the Gambling Commission in the UK? Because you're talking about the education, which is okay, but looking at the market from the experience, I don't see any type of experts growing within this body. You have a different experience, but do we have that chance for something really professional? And my second question was, apart from calculating, apart from educating the Gambling Commission, how can we else fight against the black market? Specifically taking the example from other markets where the payment ban applies. I think this blacklisting of the domains, of the URLs, is kind of okay, but it's working nothing. I mean, this takes 30 seconds up to 1 minute to the specialized operators from abroad to bypass the blacklist. And I think that on other markets, especially in Germany, also Sweden, that the payment ban is actually the only efficient way of fighting back the black operators. Do you have any progress? Do you have any type of conversation going on with the Minister of Finance.
Yeah, so good seeing you after some time. Basically, answering your first question, we work very close with the United Nations Global Compact, and 3 years ago we started to push very, very much, and in several of the reports produced by United Nations Global Compact, including the report presented in May and basically published by Ministry of Finance itself, there is basically one of the steps to be taken is to create a regulatory body, a specialized regulatory body. Again, I'm not a politician to say with confidence it's going to happen, but the fact that in a report which is sponsored by Krajowa Administracja Skarbowa, so basically an enforcer of the Ministry of Finance, such step and one of the measures is being indicated as one of the key elements together with two more, which is basically taxation, and the third one is the one that you mentioned, which basically is a tighter and better control of flows, payment flows within the country. And the fourth is basically education campaign, because still there is an understanding that a lot of clients, which are potentially today not our clients, but are not aware which operators are legal or illegal. But again, focusing on number one topic of your question, I believe that it's very vocal that such body needs to exist. Secondly, even seeing the director of the department shortly before the election in a roundtable discussion, it's very clear that there must be a body that unites KAS, Krajowa Administracja Skarbowa, and Ministry of Finance, because Ministry of Finance has a lot of understanding what needs to happen, and then there's a ping pong between KAS and Ministry of Finance, and they see it themselves, and therefore I think uniting those two bodies, especially when it comes to gaming, within one regulatory department that could be an expert and could have a proper dialogue with the industry is vital, and it's very vocal. If it's going to happen, I'm not sure. We have been pushing for that, but I think it's one of the elements that should happen. I agree with you fully. When it comes to the second question, there is a lot of discussion going on with BLIK. So BLIK is a payment method which actually is responsible for around 70% of payments in the gaming domain in Poland. It's actually a system created by several banks, but under umbrella of the state bank, of one of the state banks. Obviously this method is servicing not only legal operators, meaning us, but also other operators, grey, black, however you want to call them. There is a discussion that we run jointly with Totalizator Sportowy, the state lottery, BLIK, Ministry of Finance. We have been having a lot of discussions also with other banks, private banks, in terms of how they should be scrutinizing their transactions. Again, for sure, I agree with you that payment flow control is better than IP blocking, which is total facade, and you know it will never block anyone. But I still believe that self-regulation through proper taxation is the only method that actually works. Even masking of payment method is also very well mastered by grey operating colleagues. So I think that the only true method is proper regulation, and then the rest will fall in place automatically.
Thank you. Anyone else?
question to Aneta and Lukasz, because today we've been talking a lot about actually legal regulations. Some of them might be related to GDPR. However, you also been talking about marketing. So I believe, of course, you also know that it's higher cost to approach someone to get to your platform. However, you said that one of the challenges you are facing is actually retention. Actually, what's quite funny, it's only like 20 players in the Polish market. So I'm just wondering, what are your actions that you may take to overcome those challenges with this retention on your platform? Both of you.
So the question is for the retention, or what we are doing actually, yes? I think that one thing is those free-to-play formats I just mentioned, because it helps you to keep engagement, so let's say coming back customers. But also, let's say the proper bonus policy. Of course, you can be more aggressive, it depends on your, let's say, strategy. But anyway, you have to have proper calculation for this bonus. And I think you have to have also, let's say, attractive sport calendar. So to give something to the customer, you know, to keep them engaged.
So I agree with Lukasz, definitely, and I'll add a few things. First of all, proper segmentation and taking care of your customer there, so CRM. And two, technology. Like, we are a nation of technology freaks, believe it or not. So we are in top 10 e-commerce markets, I think, in Europe. So this is very important, and I think someone already mentioned it today, that Polish bookmakers really do take good care of technology. Like, we have amazing apps. Fuksiarz also joined this club not long ago because we had something called an app before. Now we have a native app. To give you some insights, it's actually funny. Developers that build Blik in Poland build our app. So you can expect the right quality of that. And we engage customers there, yeah? Like, it's not only about betting, it's about some socializing, scrolling, having fun. That's how you also build your attention.
Amazing. The time guard Zoltan forbids any more questions. This is a self-excuse. Thank you all, guys, for an amazing time we had today. Thank you to audience. Thank you to panelists. We don't have a time for questions, but everyone can ask questions by the coffee machine. We are at your disposal. Thank you so much, and see you later.
Thank you.